Hello and welcome to Brain Says Strange Things. That is the new title of our horror movie review podcast. This is our third episode, and we mulled over a title for a long time, and we finally settled on Brain Says Strange Things, which is sort of a quote from one of our favorite horror movies, or at least one of my favorite quotes. I don't even know, maybe we don't even want to say what movie it's from.
People. If someone's actually watching this,
yeah,
they know
deep enough
from.
into it that they'll recognize
But
it.
I like it. It's good enough.
Yeah, Brain Says Strange Things. So this is our third episode, and this episode we're going to be talking about the great horror movie director John Carpenter. We watched a couple of his films in a kind of double feature. We watched The Thing, and we also watched They Live, which was just released on Blu-ray from Shout Factory through their wonderful Scream Factory imprint.
And also, both of us had seen The Thing before.
Yeah, so we rewatched
neither of
The
us
Thing.
had seen They Live before.
Yep, so we rewatched The Thing and watched They Live for the first time. And we've seen other John Carpenter movies, so we'll sort of...
Kind of sporadic ones.
Yeah, so we'll sort of discuss some of those other films. Obviously, John Carpenter is a hugely revered and influential director in the horror genre, so we're not going to really be able to sum up his entire career.
We're playing it safe.
In this single podcast, right. But we wanted to kind of theme the episode around him and these two movies in particular. So I think we'll talk about The Thing first. 1981's The Thing, which is the first of the two movies that we watched.
Just a little spoiler, one of these movies is good and one is not.
Well, I like them both.
Okay.
They're both very different.
Okay, yeah, that's a better way of putting it.
Yeah, they're it's safe to say if you like one, you might not like the other. That is true. So this is the Blu-ray of The Thing, which I thought looked terrific.
Kind of yellow.
I thought it looked terrific on Blu-ray.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've both seen this before. What was you seem to be really impressed. You weren't real enthusiastic about watching it again, but you seem to be really impressed with it watching it this time around.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the first time that I saw it, because I'm pretty sure I only watched it once. It had to be at least 5 years ago, maybe even more than that. I remember liking it, but not a lot stood out to me, I guess, for one reason or another. Maybe I just wasn't that into John Carpenter's stuff. I just kind of going in another direction, because he's a slower, much slower film director. And I was kind of more into Sam Raimi or something like that, like faster pace.
And and that I would say is kind of a trademark of Carpenter. Is his movies are very
simple.
Deliberate. Yeah, they are. They're very simple concepts, very deliberately paced. But I think in most cases almost perfectly constructed. Certainly that's the case with Halloween, which is my favorite of his movies. So you thought the first time you saw The Thing maybe a little bit overrated.
Yeah, I guess. Well, even then, I was kind of going off reviews, and even then, there seemed to be people who really liked it, and there seemed to be people who were just kind of indifferent, and I guess I was just one of the indifferent people. This time around, I was really impressed. I thought it was really great. Mainly because it is so simple. Even the title. This is what John Carpenter does really well. He takes really simple ideas, keeps them simple, and puts in really frightening things in them. Halloween is about Halloween. This is about The Thing. You don't really find out much about this alien.
Yeah.
Well, it is an alien, I guess. That's what you find out. That's pretty much it.
And of course it's a remake.
Right.
Sort of a remake or a reimagining of the classic.
I compare it to like, was it? To what?
Oh, that's just I was saying it's the classic black and white version of The Thing
Oh,
from
yeah,
Another
yeah.
World, which is also a great movie.
Yeah, I mean, like, the remake of it is kind of like what David Cronenberg did with Fly, sort of. This is kind of like a more gross out movie than the original. The original one's up like a B movie. It's scary. What was that, like Howard Hawks?
I'm not sure.
I think that's what it was. That's kind of a slow-paced movie too. It pays off with like one big scare. That's kind of one criticism I guess I would have about this movie is it does have a lot of scares, but they don't kind of ramp it up. Like all of the scenes are kind of equal in how scary they are, or how frightening they are, how effective they are.
All of the monster sequences.
Yeah.
There's some really terrific in-camera practical special effects in this movie. It just has a great 1980s look to it.
It looks good. I'm not saying that they're all at a subpar level. Mm-hmm. They're all at a really good level, but they don't really seem to like top each other.
Right. So like when you see the dog first transform into the thing, that's no more or less disturbing than the final time you see the monster. It doesn't kind of escalate.
Right.
Yeah. For people who haven't seen it, I guess we should probably summarize. It is about...
which is easy to do.
Yes, it's about a group of... we talked about this. We're not sure what they're doing in the Antarctic. This group of men doing some kind of research up in the Arctic. Kurt Russell plays a pilot who's out there with them. He's kind of the tough guy main character, of course.
It's funny, like you don't know what they were doing, but everybody kind of knows what this group is.
Yeah.
It's like it's a group of scientists in the Antarctic.
Yeah,
people know about that just because it is kind of like
group of scientists in the Antarctic come across. Well, I mean, the way it's set up in this movie is.
It's one of the best introductions in a horror.
Yeah, it's a really cool introduction. It starts out with this dog. I guess I don't know, like a husky. I don't know dogs, something like that.
It's a dog
running across.
It's a sled dog because they're in the
running across like the Arctic, like tundra, and he's being chased by these Norwegians in a helicopter who are shooting at this dog for some unknown reason. The helicopter lands near an American base.
They just can't hit that dog either.
Yeah,
you're going to start throwing grenades at it?
Yeah, it lands near an American base, so the dog runs into the American base. These American scientists encounter these Norwegians who they can't understand through a series of mishaps and misunderstandings. The Norwegians are killed, and the American group is left with this dog, which turns out to be harboring this alien entity who can inhabit and mimic the appearance of
anything like
animals
biological
and
things.
Humans, right? So it becomes a whole anyone in this space could be the thing.
I thought it was kind of an interesting way to do it too, because it almost seems like they're stumbling across the remains of the very original movie. I know
it doesn't follow in a way it could be a sequel.
But in a way it kind of does. Like they're discovering, because in the original, I hope I'm remembering that right, is that the original they just find the creature.
Yeah, in the original
it melts in the block that they go find at the other station. So it's like they're going to see the remains of the other movie. And then that movie is coming over into John Carpenter's world and infecting that.
Yeah.
And then it kind of looks the way that he wants it to look.
And I almost thought when they were watching some of the footage of the Norwegians having discovered the UFO that they were using footage from the original.
They might have been where they're all standing around the circle.
Yeah, if it wasn't the actual footage, it was meant to
like
mimic it. Yeah, because there's that great scene in the original thing from another world where they find the flying saucer under the ice. They can see that something's under the ice, and all these guys spread out to kind of figure out the shape of it, and they find they've formed a perfect circle and they found a flying saucer. It's a really great scene. But all of that has already happened by the time John Carpenter's version gets going.
Yeah, they're just kind of finding out what had happened previously to another group.
So it's a cool, eerie introduction. I think that's a good point about the fact that the creature effects and the monster sequences don't really escalate in horror as the film goes along. But I think what does escalate and build is the tension in the movie, as this idea of like any one of these guys could be the thing.
That
becomes more
they do
intense.
that very well,
and that's really what this movie is about. It's just all about like tension and suspense more than it is about gross out creature effects, although it's got some of the best gross out creature effects of the 1980s. Yeah. So I was really impressed. I mean, I always think I held it in higher regard than you. I liked the kind of simple premise. I like how it's just really deliberately paced and well crafted. So I always kind of held it in high regard. But I greatly enjoyed watching it again. This time recently.
Yeah, and there are definitely really freaky things in it. That beginning, why I don't know why I like it so much. It's just you have no idea what's going on. Like this really weird concept. They're just chasing down this little dog.
Yeah.
With a helicopter. I'm like, what the hell? Why are they?
Yep. There's not a lot of dialogue. It takes a long time to
and you
figure out
definitely
what's
don't
going
suspect
on.
the big alien in the movie to first appear as a dog.
Yep.
And that scene just kind of like explodes. It's like it's right there. Like there's the alien.
Right.
Like they cut to that after the dog's sitting there like staring really creepily.
It's a really creepy dog.
And whereas in the very original one, the black and white one, that's the scene where the monster first appears or the alien first appears is a really famous one where you just burst down the door like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre in reverse, I guess, opening the door.
Right.
And it builds towards that, and it happens like in the middle of the movie, maybe like more towards the end. This is at the very beginning. It's just like this is it. This is what it's going to be. And I think both of them work, which is really interesting.
Yeah, yeah. They kind of introduce in this movie the premise of this thing, this alien could be anybody, and that really the whole movie's kind of built around that idea.
Well, what's
the
also
thing
what's
is not
also
particularly hard to kill either. You know, it really is. It's really more about figuring out who it is and having to trust each other and
but
how can we work together when we don't trust each other.
I think that also works because it's not like a murder mystery. Mm-hmm. Like eventually, it's going to get everybody.
Right.
So it's not like you're going to discover clues like, oh, it's definitely this guy. Like, none of that really matters. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, you're the only one that could have gotten into this room because you're the only one who has the keys.
Right.
And then it ends up not being that person.
Right.
And it doesn't matter because it's going to affect all of them. You might kind of be trying to figure it out, but in the movie I wasn't. I was just kind of like waiting for the next monster to appear, I guess.
Yeah, it's not.
And those scenes are all cool.
Yeah, it's not like one of them is the monster and then that's revealed at the end. Like multiple people.
They kind of do a little bit of it with Kurt Russell, who's really good in this movie.
And has a great beard.
Yes, I was jealous.
One of the great all-time movie beards.
Yep, even his like neck had a beard. It was impressive.
What was going on?
But Hugh's really good in it. And then they find like I don't know how much I can talk about. I'm assuming people know or have seen most of it. Whatever. You find clues that lead you to think that it's him, and ultimately he ends up not being the alien, which is not really a surprise. I mean, he's the main character.
Yeah.
Doesn't really matter. It doesn't like blow the story or anything. But then it all builds up to that last scene that you like too. There's a really nice like bookend to the movie. Because the first scene starts out so creepily, and the last scene is it's not standard at all.
No, it's very like nihilistic.
It's very open-ended. You kind of know what's going to happen, but kind of think like maybe there's hope for these guys,
but not much.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It's very strong, like all the way throughout. It's like what 2 hours?
Yeah.
And it's just hits those points. It hits those high points when the monster appears. The story doesn't like lag in any area because you're not like disappointed when it turns out that it's not this person because that doesn't matter. It's kind of the perfect story for John Carpenter to tell, or one of the perfect ones. You know, like he does a lot of really good stories, but it is like the perfect movie for him to do.
Yeah,
I think pulled off. Like I don't think another director could have done it as successful as that.
Yeah.
And there was another remake after this one. But
which we haven't seen that one.
I really have no desire to see it.
Yeah. Yeah, because Carpenter is really all about the crafting of the film and the building of tension in those scenes. And that's true of Halloween, too. I mean, Halloween, you know, kicked off a whole subgenre of horror, of these slashers. But you know, rarely were any of them nearly as good as Halloween. And there was nothing that unique or groundbreaking or interesting about the story of Halloween. There was almost no story to Halloween, but it was just in the way that movie was put together. It was almost like an exercise in minimalism.
And in something that you don't even notice, but you pick up on later, or someone else will say it, a little factoid, is that there aren't any women in this movie. It's these guys, 12 guys.
Yep.
It's not that's a big revelation, but it's something when you're watching it you don't even think about.
Yeah. Because
in today's, I have a feeling probably in the new thing, there's probably a girl, there's probably a love story. You know, they just eliminate that stuff because you don't need it to tell this particular story. Yeah,
it's really pared
There's no fat in the movie.
No, there isn't. There's no romantic subplot. There's really no comedic relief at all. It's really just, you know, they introduce the premise and then just kind of run with
There's
it.
not even like friendships in the movie.
Yeah.
They're all just kind of, which it could be true because they're all just kind of separate guys doing a job. You know,
Yep.
like
Yep.
sort of they kind of seemed like they didn't like each other. Kurt Russell was like a loner from the beginning. He lives kind of separate from their
Yep.
little base. He lives in a little cabin.
Yeah, because he's
And then
not, you know, he's
till
the
the
pilot.
till the very end. Yeah, and then till the very end, he just he's still on his own pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't like he took charge and I don't know, he's just kind of like a typical movie hero, but he's like the perfect guy to do that and pulled it off really well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I can't say enough good things about this movie. I really loved it.
Good. Yeah, I'm glad you liked this so much. Yeah, we haven't seen all, or even, I mean, sadly, even most of John Carpenter's work, I guess. But I would say The Thing is probably on the short list of essential Carpenter films.
I think it
it's
goes
really great.
it goes really close to the top.
Yeah, and also just
Like
great.
Halloween is obviously.
And also
above
just
it.
great 1980s horror.
Yeah. Well, what do you think like his best movies have been?
Well,
Halloween will say is number
I mean,
one.
I do feel like I have not seen a lot of them.
Well, of the
I'm
ones you've
embarrassed to admit the ones that I haven't seen. For me, Halloween is the best. I mean, Halloween, if you were to ask me right now, is probably my favorite horror movie. I mean, you know, people ask me what my favorite horror movie is. I've had different answers to that question at various points. But if you ask me
I
right
always
now,
keep coming back to.
yeah, if just my sensibilities, like right now, it would be Halloween. I just because it is just perfectly constructed. I never get tired of watching it. I mean, I can watch it again right now. I've seen it, you know, I don't know how many times. I just absolutely love that movie.
And then I would go. I think I would go The Thing actually next.
Yeah, really. The
I think
Thing.
I would.
You like it better than
I
Halloween?
mean,
or it's like
I
a second
haven't
best?
seen all of his movies. Of the ones I've seen, kind of a lot of the major ones.
Yeah.
He's got a few, and I really like The Ward too.
Mm-hmm. The Ward,
which
his
is
new,
one of his newer ones.
2011
Which
film.
people think like John Carpenter's kind of hit his peak, like a while ago, and then he's kind of on the, kind of either maintained a cruising altitude or he's on his way
Yeah.
down into.
Well, he hadn't made a
obscurity
film
more.
for like 10 years before The Ward.
Yeah, that's
came
the other
out.
thing. He kind of goes a long time without making films. Or no, I take it back though, because I think I would go Halloween, The Fog, and then The Thing.
Yeah.
Which is really funny because they're all like one-word titles. They're really simple. They're really
Yeah.
simple stories, and that's just what he does well.
Yeah.
And then you get into movies that have 2 words in their title,
Yep.
and
He maybe
there
does them less
might
well.
be some sort of correlation.
Well, I do want to get back to The Fog, but let's
Oh yeah, I guess I didn't let you finish what your favorite movies would be.
Oh, well, no, I mean, Halloween's my favorite, and I think the rest of them that I've seen are really good. I don't know that I've seen one that I don't like. But you may have seen one that you don't like this evening.
Well, for different reasons.
When
I mean,
we watched...
it-
all right, well, this
They
will be our
Live.
segue into They Live, and I really wanted to...
It's like filmic whiplash to watch these.
It is.
back
We
to back.
watched these back to back, and these are the same director, but these are very, very tonally different from each other. About 6-7 years separate the two films.
Yeah, there's not even a lot of time between them
Yep.
either.
And I really wanted to show this Blu-ray release that Screen Factory put out because I love the new like retro
I like the new
cover
cover
art they
though,
did.
too.
for this.
Yeah.
This is the new cover art.
Or the old one. I like the other one.
The other one with glasses?
With just his glasses.
Oh yeah, well that's on the reverse of this. But
I like that.
I love this new like retro cover art they did. For
It looks like the cover to The Expendables or something.
It is, and I think that's it sets up the attitude and kind of mood that you need to go into a movie like They Live with. So what can we say about They Live? It's kind of a cult favorite, I think. A lot of people really like this movie. I was really excited to watch it.
I was surprised that I hadn't heard more about it because of the levels of ridiculousness it reaches. Maybe it's just it's not quite ridiculous enough, and it's really hard. It's kind of hard to explain. That people maybe just kind of forget about it. I mean, it's kind of like the Tommy Wiseau's The Room, you know, that kind of level.
It's not that bad
Yeah, it
because
is.
it's still
It
John
is.
Carpenter though, and I feel like it's still like
that's
a
the bizarre
well,
part.
but I feel like it's still a well-made movie. Like The Room, I haven't seen The Room, but it's
fun.
probably not like a well-made movie.
No, but I mean, it's fun to watch.
It's fun and it's funny, and it doesn't take itself too seriously.
I don't know if it's really actually that's the sense of humor that it's going for.
I think it is a little bit. I don't think they're taking it that seriously. I mean, this is the same guy who made The Thing.
Yeah, I know. He's
so to
not
do a movie on this,
he's not a stupid filmmaker,
Yeah.
but I think he was probably just in an area where he does not do too well.
Okay. Well, So the premise of They Live, it stars Roddy Piper, who is a wrestler, a professional wrestler. And
wrestler turned actor. That's a good sign.
And Keith David, who was also in The Thing. And
Yeah,
other great
Keith
movies.
David marathon.
Yeah, it was a little Keith David double feature between these two movies.
He was good.
So Roddy Piper plays this kind of drifter character who, I think it's in L.A., comes to Los Angeles looking for work. And he stumbles upon this kind of conspiracy when he finds this group who have manufactured a pair of sunglasses. And
he does a lot of stumbling.
He does a lot of stumbling around in this movie, and when you put on these sunglasses, whenever you look at like an advertisement for Coca-Cola or a new car or something, it will have like a slogan that just says obey,
consume,
or stay asleep, consume. And when he looks at certain people, particularly people who are part of the elite, they
have really bad 70s versions of like the Planet of the Apes masks.
See, I thought they looked cool.
But when they're talking, the mouths are just like not
they're
moving
clearly
at all.
masks.
They're just like Halloween masks like this.
So anyway, Roddy Piper discovers that there is this alien conspiracy that's controlling everything through the media. So it's this very, very blunt kind of social commentary. And, Roddy Piper basically decides to attack this problem by just punching people in the face and shooting them.
He can shoot and punch his way out of anything.
Yeah, it has that.
He shoots a satellite dish.
Yeah, so he's got the mullet. He's got the muscles. It's a very like that.
He got a weird tan. He's like really red all over.
Yeah, it has that very like 1980s hyper macho action movie kind of vibe to it a little bit,
where it's almost like a porno or something in some parts.
It's
really seedy.
It's a little grimy.
It kind of reminded me of like movies that I made like as a little kid, where you throw everything into it that you have available.
It's really over the top.
There's weapons in there from the movie Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
they're using props from other
movies.
movies.
I think that was maybe an homage.
I don't know, but I think they just needed something that looked alien. Or looked foreign.
But didn't you think this movie was fun? I mean, I thought it was.
It was
really
making movies as a kid was fun, but it still looks like that. It looks like.
But I thought it looked good, though. I mean, it's like well constructed. I mean,
I don't know.
The plot is over the top. The plot is silly, but the film is well constructed. It's well put together. You know what I mean?
Sort of. I mean, there's really weird.
I don't think it's sloppy filmmaking.
I think some parts are kind of. There's scenes where that girl, the main girl in the movie, who looks like she's got pink eye, and her eyes are like watering all the time, which is not an attractive cast. Let's be honest. But she'll like walk in a room, and she'll start talking to a group of people, and she's like facing this way, and then they cut to like the reverse shot, and the people are over here, and it really throws you off. It threw me off. Just because John Carpenter, like the looks of his films always stand out to me, so I kind of look at that part of it. This one, by that time that happened, I had already checked out in the story department. I was like, I don't really know what's going on. I don't really care because it's still kind of fun, but even simple things like that. And then the part where they find this underground, like, whatever it is, a laboratory. It's one hallway that they keep filming over and over again that they're walking up and down. It's made to look like a maze underground the city. And then they walk to a certain point, and then they turn, and then they're supposed to discover this room that's connected to this hallway, and it's just like a different location.
Yeah,
it's like, all right,
clearly,
it's like we had this lobby in a hotel that we could shoot, so we're gonna shoot there. It doesn't really look like it's in a basement somewhere. Like you go from a parking garage to the lobby of a hotel, and it just looks bizarre. Because you can hear. I don't know. Weird things stand out to me. Is that they're walking down that hallway, and then you hear the crowd cheering in this like auditorium, and it sounds like an auditorium, and they're walking. Just the sound of that while you're walking down a parking garage ramp, like really threw me off. And I was like, here comes the shot where they're gonna cut to something that doesn't even match up with it.
Right.
Which you know, it doesn't really matter in a movie like this, but there's so many like simple little things you could do where that didn't. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
it's weird to criticize the movie for little things.
Well,
like
no,
that.
you're right. I mean, I you know, this movie is kind of on the edge because I wouldn't say it's a movie that it's like it's so bad it's good, because I think it's good, but it's not. Like, part of the enjoyment is kind of like the cheese factor of it a little bit, and I think the movie knows that to a certain extent, but that maybe doesn't excuse some of the sloppy filmmaking choices which you're pointing out. To me, this is a good time at the movies, though. I mean,
Well, it's fun if you can like make fun of it while
you
you're
gotta
watching
go.
it.
If
like
you gotta
if,
go,
if you're sitting by yourself,
you're not gonna
like
go into like They Live all seriously, like, yeah, you know, society really is. They're really saying something here. You know what I mean? It's it's fun. It's Roddy Piper. I mean, the way he plays that character with all of his horrendous catchphrases that he throws out.
He only speaks in catchphrases.
Yeah, he speaks entirely in catchphrases. I mean, this is, you know, done in a knowing way to a certain extent, and I think it's a lot of fun to watch.
I feel like it gets so close to that though, but it's just not clever enough to be. Like, it wasn't funny. It was more just kind of like rolling your eyes, like, yeah, that's good. That's funny, but is it funny because I think that it's stupid, or is it funny because they think that it's funny, or maybe both? All right, let's talk about like the last few minutes of the movie.
Oh, okay.
Not just the last scene in particular, which is terrible and just comes out of nowhere and goes nowhere and is nothing. I won't even describe it. It's so stupid.
I don't want to spoil it either.
I don't want to spoil that. But then, okay, so what happened at the end?
He destroyed this broadcast signal, which apparently was responsible for creating the illusion of the advertisements and what the ghouls actually looked like. So that when that was destroyed, everyone, regardless of whether they had the glass or the contact lenses, could see the truth. They could see when they looked at an advertisement that it said obey. When they looked at someone who was actually an alien, they could see that they were an alien.
So he
destroyed the illusion.
Right?
Yeah. But to what extent is unclear, because supposedly this is a global conspiracy that's supposedly been going on for
it's an interplanetary, interdimensional conspiracy.
Yeah, so probably him destroying this one satellite on a single building did not, you know, save the entire world. But nevertheless...
It's kind of confusing, too, because the aliens look like zombies.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I've seen a movie like that.
No,
before.
but I thought that was an interesting choice. I think that
but
was
then on the cover, doesn't it say, like, they're dead wrong or something? Like, it's like a bait and switch. They want you to think it's a zombie movie, but
you think they're people just like you, you're wrong, dead wrong. Yeah, they definitely look
That's
like...
more clever than anything Roddy says.
They definitely look like zombies. I actually read a quote...
Zombie masks.
Yeah, I actually read a quote from John Carpenter where he said, like, that was, like, a really deliberate choice because, like, they were...
They had no money?
No, because they were, like, corrupted characters and they were, like, corrupting humanity, so he wanted them to look like corrupted humans or, like...
Whoa.
Yeah, it's heavy, man.
Whoa.
It's heavy.
Whoa.
I cannot wait to dig into the special features on this, by the way, because they, like, have a new interview with John Carpenter and like a commentary track, so it'll be interesting to see like on what level of seriousness the filmmakers were working, because I don't think they
But that's
took it
a little
seriously.
Unfair because you can kind of retroactively
in
apply
retrospect
that,
they could say we were
because he's not going to come out and be like, yikes, what was I thinking with that theme song, with Roddy's theme song or theme notes.
Wow, you're even going to slam on John Carpenter's usually highly praised score.
Yes,
he didn't do the score for The Thing.
Which is something that I like.
He always does his own music.
I like in all his movies. Like, there's no orchestra doing it. It's him, like, at a keyboard. And it works especially well in these 80s movies, because, like, the synthesizer was big. Like,
the
taking
fog.
off and...
The music in the fog.
Yeah, it's great.
Forget about it. It's phenomenal.
But this one is just that same, like, over and over. It's like...
Very different, yeah. Yeah.
And that's kind of how you feel when you're watching the movie. It's like...
Wow. Well, I think this is our first genuine split decision. You know, I think we kind of...
It's fun to watch if you're watching it with someone else who also thinks it's stupid, and you can make fun of it while you're watching it.
I thought it was...
If you're sitting there in a movie theater, you're not
fun.
like... you're not like enjoying it on that.
I was entertained by it. I will probably watch this.
I was entertained by it too.
It was fun. It was just I thought it was
not
fun.
enough.
And I like those kind of like hyper macho like 80s action movies, and I just thought Roddy Piper and Keith David in this movie like really kind of like were embodied that kind of.
All right, well, let's talk about the fight scene then.
Yeah, well, it's obligatory to mention the fight scene in They Live because it is a kind of famous long fight scene. It's like over 5 minutes long between Keith David and Roddy Piper.
I feel like there's got to be fight scenes that are longer.
You know what I was thinking about? I feel like in those like
I think
kung fu movies, right? You know, so probably for American films,
Chopsaki cinema.
Probably for American films, it was like one of the longest fight scenes ever.
I also think it probably seems long because there's no music.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a really slow-paced fight.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I kind of like that, I guess, particularly about it because it is just two big dudes just punching each other in the face.
Because he wants them to wear these sunglasses.
He wants them to put on a pair of sunglasses, which, it would have been easier just to put them on, but whatever. It's a good excuse. That's another thing I thought, like, about when I would make movies as a kid, and me and you would do it, just like running around the yard, making things up as you go along filming them. I mean, the main plot point in the movie is that he finds a pair of sunglasses.
It's silly.
It's just ridiculous. And they're the stupidest looking sunglasses. It's like his aunt's sunglasses.
They're not even like
they're big
cool
Men in
looking
Black.
sunglasses.
No, they're not cool sunglasses at all. And then how do the aliens get around and communicate to each other? They talk into their watch. Yeah, he's wearing a watch. They talk into the watch.
Well, see, I felt like that was social commentary too, because it was like the expensive like Rolex watches were like a real status symbol in the 1980s.
Well, then why are they cheap ass sunglasses?
Yeah. Well, that's what the Resistance had.
Oh, man.
The Resistance was made up of the lower class.
It's just on so many
outsiders.
levels.
There's a lot going on here.
Wow.
So anyway,
I still didn't really like it.
Fair enough. Well, I like They Live. I'm gonna like highly recommend They Live as a great 1980s horror movie, and
I'm glad I saw it.
And an important part of Carpenter's, body of work.
Oeuvre. Maybe
not as essential. I was gonna say oeuvre, but I thought you would totally call me out on it.
Okay.
But I think you need to see it if you're a horror movie fan.
I did see it. Oh.
Yeah. No, I think
the royal
you.
sense.
Yes.
Okay.
People who are watching our podcast.
Right.
Our fans.
Right.
Need to see it if they haven't already. And definitely get the Blu-ray that Scream Factory put out.
See, it looks like the Expendables.
Yep. They did. This is the new cover art that they did.
He doesn't even have his sunglasses on the cover.
Keith David has his sunglasses.
I know he does, but he looks like Stevie Wonder. That
is a terrific cover. I love Scream Factory, by the way.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah. We'll have an episode where we talk about just Scream Factory and all the cool stuff that they're putting out. But okay, so kind of a split decision on They Live. We both liked The Thing, but we had a good time watching these movies.
Yeah, it's a fun movie to watch. If I'm trying to, basically what this is about is trying to analyze the film and what works and what doesn't. I guess ultimately They Live falls on the side where it doesn't, for me at least. So.
For me it did.
Okay.
I thought it was good.
Okay.
Let's talk just briefly about like some other John Carpenter movies that we've seen.
We haven't seen very many.
We haven't seen very many.
The same ones, so we don't like.
Yeah, well, for me, I've always considered Halloween, the original Halloween, to be one of the greats. Yeah. But I don't think I was really that.
Even people who aren't John Carpenter fans
are Halloween fans. It's like a great
Halloween,
movie. It's a great movie. And what can we say about Halloween that hasn't already been said? But I don't think I was really that interested in, looking at John Carpenter as a director until I came across recently The Fog.
Same here.
On Netflix was streaming it. If they're still streaming it, check it out.
Just go buy it.
Well, Scream Factory's putting it out on Blu-ray in a few months, so wait for that. It'll be good.
Okay, don't buy it.
But when I saw The Fog, I was absolutely blown away. Yes. It's this cool ghost story. It looks phenomenal.
He knows how to build those moments in The Fog when there's like when Adrian Barbeau's climbing to the top of this the lighthouse.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great scene.
The fog is just great scene.
And that's actually a great location, that lighthouse. And
the music in it, this great.
And it's a real set too. It's
score.
not like a green screen or anything.
Right.
It's like it's a real set, and they actually use it. They're climbing to the top of it, and it just there's more of an impact than. And the same reason why The Thing works is because it's like real animatronic puppets and stuff. It's not computer generated aliens turning into humans, so it looks creepier. There's puppets that look like dogs coming out of humans. It's really creepy. So I don't know. I don't know where I was going with The Fog, but I kind of felt like the same way that you did. Where
I think you watched it
John
when
Carpenter.
I recommended it that we watch it, right? Didn't I? Didn't I bring it to your attention?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
we watched it at the same time.
Yeah. Well, I had seen it early. I fell asleep the first time I watched it, but that's just because I was really tired.
Shocking. Must have been past 8:30.
I always fall asleep during movies, but I
stayed awake during these.
I liked what I saw, so I watched it again with Jordan because I was like, this movie's really good. But what really impressed me about it was, watching, I was thinking, this was made like the year after Halloween when everyone else was making like rip-offs of Halloween.
Yeah.
Like,
he does a ghost
this
story.
is what John Carpenter did, something completely different but completely amazing. So The Fog is not nearly as well known as Halloween or even The Thing, but it is a terrific movie. It's really a great
You could watch it. It's kind of the same way I feel with Halloween. You wouldn't want to do this because the music is always really great, but you could watch it with the sound off and you'd be really impressed by it.
Yes. Or you could just listen to music and be really impressed by it.
And the funny thing is, this is why it's hard to explain why I didn't like They Live as, I criticized the stupid masks, but the, whatever pirate ghosts.
Oh, they look really good.
They look great.
Yeah.
But you could tell it's just like a nothing mask with glowing Christmas light red eyes, dressed up like pirates, but it works really well.
I can't wait to see
it's
that
hard
movie.
It's hard to say why I liked one and why I guess that didn't really fit in They Live.
Yeah, no, and They Live you're right, it did have a bit more of a cheesy, I don't think they put as much effort, like They Live wasn't supposed to be scary, you know what I mean, like,
well, yeah, obviously
The Thing and, The Fog and Halloween are all about mood and atmosphere, and it's this very dark, creepy, serious mood and atmosphere, whereas They Live was just kind of all over the place, deliberately so, I think, and entertaining because of it, but it does not have the same
I don't think
effect.
they were trying to make a serious action movie,
No.
obviously. I know it's tongue-in-cheek stuff, but I just feel like it wasn't good enough. Like, I feel like that's just not John Carpenter's forte.
That's not... They Live is probably not what a lot of people go to John Carpenter for. Mm-hmm. But I think it's an interesting kind of chapter in his career.
But also, I kind of don't really have a lot to compare it to, because I haven't seen a lot of his movies that are like that.
Right.
I haven't seen Assault on Precinct 13, which is like his first one, right?
I think...
Or one of his...
Well,
one of the first.
His first one we should talk about. His real first movie.
Which is
Dark Star.
Oh, right. Dark Star. I forgot about that.
Let's talk about Dark Star.
Why not talk about that movie? Because that is a great John Carpenter movie that no one knows about.
Yeah.
They Live people know about because they show that on TV. Dark Star, it floated completely below the radar.
Mm-hmm. What is Dark Star?
I can't explain Dark Star. Dark Star is really
It was
weird.
made as a student film.
Yep. How did I come to that? It was what's that guy's name that wrote it? I don't remember. But it was really good. It's about
Dan O'Bannon?
That's it. That's the guy.
Who wrote the movie.
Dan O'Bannon, who also wrote the original Alien. Mm-hmm. Look up Dan O'Bannon, because he is a really good writer typically. He also directed Return of the Living Dead and wrote it. That's one of his best.
Oh, that'd be a good episode of the podcast.
What, Dan O'Bannon?
Or just Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah. And the 90 remake of Night of the Living Dead. Mm-hmm. Well, getting sidetracked there, but Dark Star is about, 3 guys?
It's like a small group
up
of guys.
in space. It looks so cheap, but it works.
Yeah, well, it is cheap. It was made as a student film.
Yeah.
John Carpenter directed
and then released
Dan O'Bannon
theatrically.
wrote it, although some people say kind of co-directed it, Dan O'Bannon.
Yeah, and he also stars in it. Dan O'Bannon's he's one of the really good actors in it.
So it's this very hyper low budget student science fiction movie about these kind of regular guys in space, just kind of doing regular kind of grunt
Well, what did
work.
they do? I don't remember exactly what they're like.
They're
blowing up
planets. It was some with
that
sound
that
spectacular.
are going to become black holes or something.
Yeah,
it's something like that.
But the point is, it was a really kind of menial, kind of blue collar job in space, and these were kind of menial blue collar guys, which everyone credits Alien for really showing for the first time. But a lot of the seeds for Alien were in Dark Star, which itself is a pretty entertaining movie.
Yeah,
yeah,
and the fact that it is so cheap kind of forces them to kind of create their own little universe. I mean, it looks even kind of like Star Wars a little bit.
Everything's kind of dirty and grubby.
I remember there's those weird scenes where Dan O'Bannon's character, and they only know each other by like their last names, because even they had like forgotten their first names. They've been up there so long, and he even kind of doesn't know who he is. They find those old tapes that he had recorded, and he's like saying his name is something else, and that he has a wife, and it's really similar to that movie Moon. With Sam Rockwell, where he's like, is this guy going crazy up here? Or
it kind of had the same...
Or is there something really sci-fi going on here?
Kind of the same kind of claustrophobic, kind of cabin fever feel of like The Thing in some ways.
Yeah, no women. Again. There's a lot of really interesting ideas too, where he has to convince the bomb not to blow up at the very end. Like he has to logically convince this bomb. It's like he's talking to Data or something. He has to come up with this logical argument why it shouldn't.
Or Nomad.
Yeah, or Monad. But he has to like convince the bomb that it doesn't exist or that it has no purpose. Some philosophical argument that this robot's not going to understand, and it ultimately shuts down, and then chaos ensues again. And ultimately, there's a guy riding a surfboard into the sun. It's really weird, but you have got to see it.
Yeah, it's this weird little student film that ended up getting some distribution and is technically John Carpenter's first film. Not a lot of people know about it. So.
Yeah, because he kind of made it hand in hand with Dan O'Bannon. There's a lot of cooks in the kitchen.
But he's the credited director.
Yep.
And
I forgot. I can't believe I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of all the... Because that is absolutely not only one of my favorite John Carpenter movies, one of my favorite sci-fi movies of all time.
Really?
It's just so weird.
Yeah.
And it works so well.
It's a real
It has like this country music soundtrack.
Yeah.
It's just bizarre.
It's a real kind of hidden gem, and then yeah. So for sure.
Scream Factory should do that. Well, I guess that's not a horror movie, but it's... I don't know. There's got to be... They can create their own separate company to release that.
Yeah.
As far as I care.
Or they could do just their Shout Factory.
I've got a Dark Star poster on my wall, for God's sakes.
Yeah, I bought it for you.
Yeah, it's great. Look up that too. That's one of the best covers. If Scream Factory releases it, they have got to use that cover.
That image.
That's another thing. There's the captain of the ship had been injured some way, like he died, and he like to the point of near death, and they freeze him, and then they keep him in the basement of the ship, and he communicates to them, kind of like they hook up things to his brain, and he's like speaking to them, like his mouth isn't moving, but I don't know. It's bizarre. There's a lot of weird images and weird ideas, and that's definitely up there actually too.
Yeah, it's cool. So definitely check out Dark Star. You know, it's don't overlook it in your own John Carpenter.
See if you can find it.
Yeah, I don't know. We probably rented it through Netflix or something.
Yeah, I guess.
So anyway, all right. Well, I guess we should wrap up this John Carpenter episode. So I'm sure we'll talk more about John Carpenter in future episodes because he's such a huge figure in horror. And,
we'll do one on Dark Star. We can actually talk about the whole...
Yeah, we can dig into Dark Star more in depth or some of the movies that we haven't seen. But definitely see The Thing. And I would say...
Show your props.
I showed them already. Definitely see The Thing.
Okay.
And I would say go ahead and pair that with They Live.
It should have come with a free pair of sunglasses.
Great double feature. You know, Jordan would probably say you can skip They Live. But
I've seen it once. I think that's good for me.
But I had fun watching it, and I'm looking forward to listening to the commentaries. So, all right. Well, I guess that wraps up our third episode of the hell's the title of this thing? Brain Says Strange Things.
Yes.
Well, yeah, that is good. We're committing to this title.
I also secretly mentioned the title of the movie that it's from.
You did. There's a clue in this episode for
Go back and rewind
where the title is from.
I guess pausing won't do anything, but because I say it actually. But there's no subtitles, so
yeah.
I just watch it over and over again. You'll get it.
Anywho, yeah, who's gonna watch this multiple times? Okay, so
I have fans.
Yep. So, anywho, that wraps up our John Carpenter double feature episode. So, thanks for watching, and we'll be back again soon to talk more about horror movies. So, we'll see you next time.
Cheers.
Bye.